There are people who are preserving old traditions and culture, and we can meet them in the city in Jongmyo. The Jongmyo Shrine, located in Jongno-gu in downtown Seoul, is dedicated to the memorial services of the kings and queens of the Joseon Dynasty. Considered the most refined and magnificent building from the Joseon era, it was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1995. The shrine was built after Hanyang, the former name of Seoul, was selected as the capital, and since then, it has thus served as the venue for royal memorial rites. The shrine was located on Unjong Road, a main artery during the Joseon Dynasty. The road signified how people gathered together and drifted away like clouds in the sky. There was a reason for establishing a national shrine in the city center. The principle was to build the palace at the center, Chungmyo on the left and Sajik on the right. In other words, Chungmyo would be in the east and Sajik in the west. Jongmyo was built with the gods in mind. Hence, this garden is called the Garden of Gods. This is called Samno, or the Three Roads. The king and the crown prince walk on the outer path, while the gods walk along the middle path. Following the Samno will lead to Cheongjeon, the main building of the shrine. Cheongjeon opens only twice a year to perform the Je례에. As each king and queen are housed in one section, there are a total of 19 sections and 49 ancestral tablets. Holding ancestral rites for the past leaders is equivalent to holding rites for the nation, and the parade you're seeing right now announces the beginning of the service. The rites practiced today are exactly the same as those practiced 600 years ago. Among all temples and shrines around the world, Jongmyo is the only one that maintains its original rituals, and in 2001, Jongmyo-je례에 and Jereak were designated as the first of Korea's masterpieces of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity by UNESCO. The Jongmyo-jereak is the artistic performance that accompanies the rite, consisting of music and dance. The composer of the music was none other than King Seocheon. What's surprising is that in order to pass this song on to the next generation, King Seocheon made the Cheongganbo, East Asia's first ever sheet music, showing rhythm and pitch. Jongmyo Shrine is where people pray for national peace and blessings. This 600-year-old tradition and cultural heritage of Korea continues today thanks to the people who are dedicated to preserving it. Meanwhile, not far from Jongmyo in the same Jongno district, you can experience the tradition of Korea yourself in a temple. Following this steep hill, dozens of foreign visitors are walking up to Myogaksa, a temple in Naksan Mountain. One step, two steps, you can stay in the temple, away from the hectic city life, and cleanse your mind.
This is nestled right in the heart of Seoul, close to Jongno. A temple surrounded by skyscrapers, busy people running everywhere, but here, nothing but peace and tranquility.
Founded in 1930, Myogaksa Temple was destroyed in a 1997 fire and was reconstructed 7 years later, but the statue of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva on the cliff has been there since the first construction of the temple. Of all the temples in Seoul, Myogaksa is known as the most popular temple stay venue for foreigners. One of the reasons behind this is the venerable yo-yo.
Nice to meet you. Hello. Hello. I'm the leader of the temple stay team. Please go and assistant, wait for you, and then you can change your uniform. Okay? Let's go.
Yes. So we first do that, right?
It's yours.
Prior to training, everyone must change into the clothes provided by the temple.
Pretty warm.
In Buddhism, you have to lower and empty yourself. The 108 prostrations is one of the processes that will help you achieve that. You can learn more about age-old traditions and also reflect on yourself.
Touch 2 ears, touch hands, cross the foot, touch elbow, touch forehead, hands up, hands down, palms together, and stand up. Are you ready?
Following the monk's instructions, the visitors start the 108 prostrations. It's a procedure for getting rid of greed, anger, and ignorance, with an aim to sever oneself from the 108 earthly desires. The participants all look very determined and serious. And gradually, everyone's getting tired. When you're halfway through, exhaustion takes over, but after that, you will find yourself thinking instead of counting. When the physical pain starts, that's when you start to reflect on yourself.
Wow, it's quite difficult now. I'm just a beginner, but it gets great. It just must practice every time, but quite good.
If you want to join the temple stay program, you can experience the Korean traditional culture and Buddhism. Buddhism is mind religion. Other religions, people believe just God, but Buddhism, check just your mind.
Meditating while taking a slow walk gives you a chance to be one with nature and look back on yourself. At 6 p.m., the bell will ring 33 times. Visitors are invited to join in the rite of hitting the bell. The bell rings in the morning and in the evening. In the morning, it is meant to clear the mind, while the evening bell is for those in purgatory, giving them their only rest. Contrary to the fast-paced nightlife of the city, the time in Myogaksa seems to have stopped. You can also try the Buddhist tea ceremony known as Tasan Ilmi. The traditional Korean tea ceremony gives you the chance to look into yourself. The seemingly complex steps of the traditional tea ceremony can be experienced in a more relaxed atmosphere. Making the tea and also washing the teacups on the spot are a part of meditation. Once the temple stay experience comes to an end, the visitors gather together and sleep in one room. It's a nice chance to talk to those who have shared the experience. Just a few words are enough to build a special bond.
Did it feel like 108? Like she said, we did 108, but
yeah, knees, heads. Even for me, I practice taekwondo.
I have a new experience, and I feel like I was kind of doing the same thing. I was kind of just kind of stagnant. So I wanted to try something new.
I reckon next week probably be a better week. Next year, like New Year, we'll come at it from a completely different angle.
this beautiful view. Today, the most important thing I learned was letting go of all those thoughts running around in my head. Learning how to relax, learning how to live in the moment, not thinking about the past or the future. An amazing ability that they don't teach in school. You have to come to a temple stay.
Just like the moon that has shined on the temple until now, this traditional culture is spreading to many people across the world. Meanwhile, in the same Jongno district, there is a neighborhood where the old and the new coexist, and it's called Seocheon. The area has maintained its alleyways from almost 500 years ago. Seocheon was populated not by nobles, but middle-class scholars. That's why the architecture here looks rather humble. Currently, there are about 600 traditional Hanok houses in Seocheon that are roughly 100 years old. Most of them were built after 1910. The Gyeongbuk guest house in Seocheon is a Hanok that has maintained its original form for 100 years. Most of the crossbeams and pillars are from the original construction.
서촌은 그래도 아직도 사람들이 주거 공간으로 아직 많이 남아 있어요. 선조부터 받은 그런 집들을 그냥 주거하고 있는 사람들이 꽤 있더라고요.
In the nostalgic Hanok neighborhood, you'll find small cultural spaces that add a lively energy to the streets. Seol Jae-woo is an author born and raised in Seocheon and acts as a local guide. He has a strong affection for his neighborhood and has even published a book about it.
굉장히 오래된 골목들, 그리고 그 골목 사이사이에 쌓인 흔적들, 그런 흔적들과 사람들의 모습들이 가장 큰 매력이라고 할 수 있죠.
Here you can see two overlapping photos. The photo in the back is from the 80s, and the photo in the front is from the present. This is Daeo Bookstore, which has guarded the area for 60 years. This old-fashioned bookstore is a place you cannot miss when you visit Seocheon. The bookstore opened in 1950 and is known as the oldest used bookstore in Seoul. Back in the day, Daeo Bookstore was very well known and people came to visit from all over Korea. The old books here testify to the history of the store.
오래된 책들이 이제 다 저쪽에 다 책방이 있었는데 바깥이 할아버지가 돌아가신 바람에 거기는 다 기증을 해버렸어요. 책을 안 보지만은 그저 만져보는 재미라도 있다 하고 그냥 놔둔 것이 이렇게 오래 지났지.
This is a special place in Seocheon where you can experience the past. As expected of an area where artists used to live, you will come across many studios. There's also a painting that captures the history of Seocheon.
겸재정선이 수성동 계곡이라는 작품이 있었어요. 계곡에 있는 돌다리인 기린교가 발견이 됐어요. 이곳을 작품 속과 가장 근접한 풍경으로 복원이 돼서 감상하고 걸어 들어가 볼 수 있는.
The backdrop of Suseongdong Valley and the stone bridge is a designated cultural asset of Korea and is open to the public. It's also a beautiful resting place in the middle of the city. Seoul is a fast-paced, bustling metropolis, but nestled just west of Gyeongbuk Palace is Seocheon, where time slows down. Seocheon preserves 100 years of Seoul, and that is what makes the neighborhood so special. This time it is another street that is preserving 100 years of history. The Songlim Shoe Company was founded in 1936 and has remained in the same spot since then. It makes all shoes for men and women out of leather. The Songlim Shoe Company was situated on the Uchi Road during the Japanese colonial period. The company opened in 1936 under the head of Lee Ki-seok, and the third generation is currently heading the business. Their long years of reputation started when the company produced Korea's first ever hiking shoes in 1963. These shoes would build the foundation for the company's reputation in the shoe industry. Their long history is evident in the building itself. And since 1995, the company has been making shoes for Korea's top mountain climber, Ho Young-ho, for his expeditions to the North Pole, the South Pole, and Mount Everest. The company's reputation soon spread by word of mouth and new customers became regulars. Letters written by clients decades ago testify to the strength of the company that survived mechanization in the 70s and foreign brands' domination in the 90s. Every shoe pair is handmade and requests for repairs come in at least 3 times a day. On average, each shoe that comes in for repair is at least 10 years old. This is the result of the Songlim Shoe Company's commitment to making shoes that last a lifetime.
수선하면은 위에 가죽이 좋기 때문에 창이 다 닳도록 신을 수 있기 때문에 새 신발 같이 오래 신을 수가 있어요. 말할 수 없이 많이 가지만 한 1000번은 갈 거예요.
In this historic district also rests the Oriental Clinic Chungmuro. With 165 years of history, the clinic has outgrown its humble roots to become Seoul's most respectable name in Korean Oriental medicine. It is currently run by Dr. Yoon Young-seok, the 7th generation of the Yoon family. The history of this iconic Oriental clinic in Korea can be traced back to the 1800s. This clinic has almost 200 years of history. The Chunwon-dang was a small clinic that opened in 1847 in Paekchon, in North Korea. It accumulated a significant amount of medical expertise and published books on treatment and acupuncture. This year marks the 165th year since the clinic opened its doors, and it is on its way to celebrating the 200th anniversary. Now let's take a look at one of the oldest restaurants in the city. The door on this Joseon era map is called Yimun. Behind each Yimun was a village specialty, and one that can still be found today is the Seolleongtang of the Jongmyo Yimunnan. The restaurant witnessed major historic moments such as the independence of Korea as well as the Korean War. Holding the city's restaurant license #1, it is Korea's oldest Seolleongtang restaurant. As Seoul's official oldest restaurant, Imun Seolleongtang has held on to its trademark taste for the past century, and it is now one of Seoul's most famous eateries. The last place we'll visit is Chunggu, the heart of Seoul. And among the hidden valleys, we find the printing street of Chungmuro, a place with a long history and tradition. People usually associate Chungmuro with movies, but few know that it's also famous for its print shops. The history of the area goes back a good century. Anything can be printed here, including calendars and publications. The district was famous for being lit up throughout the year. The printing area emerged in 1913 just as the movie industry began to blossom, out of the need to print movie posters. Over the century, many iconic scenes have been born into these streets, and one of them is the 3-wheeled motorcycle. These motorcycles share features of both cars and bikes, and have been connecting some 1,000 print shops in the area for the past 30 years. The real specialty, however, is the people. Mr. Yoon Seok-ju is the most familiar face here. Of the 40 years he has spent in the print business, half was based right here in Chungmuro. For him, the print alley is his dream and life. There is yet another street that has its own color. Let's head over to Mullae-dong's Alley of Ironworks, where the sounds of steel and brushes mingle. The Mullae streets have been the primary destination for ironworks since 1970. In fact, many say that as long as you have some metal, anything can be made here, demonstrating the level of expertise found in these alleys. This area has also had its share of hardship, especially during financial crisis. However, as artists began to set up studios in 2002, things started to pick up again. As a result, the place has 2 names, the Ironworks Street and Changjakcheon, or the Village of Creativity. Its artists have fit in very nicely to the area. Among them, Chae Chol, makes models with scraps of machine parts. His works embody the neighborhood identity. These two areas were the backdrop for Korea's industrialization in the 1970s and feature history and modernity to this day. Those who have witnessed Korea's history on the streets are living proof of Korea's development today. The tradition preserved in these old streets and alleys is, in fact, the people themselves.